with that, let me introduce Representative Graham Hunt here. This is how you represent America.
I'm glad to see some Second Amendment enthusiasts out here. Thank you. You know, on November 4th, we watched one of the battles that our nation is facing that we lost here in Washington State. But a war consists of many more than a single battle. But this is a battleground state. I'm sure that all of you have heard that now, because it passed here, they're going to propose this type of legislation in other places. But I'm here to tell you that you have representatives here in Olympia right now that are here because we believe the same thing that you do, and that's the very simple fact that the Constitution states shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Look, come on, shall not be infringed. It's not complicated. This was an 18-page bill that is more than background checks. Have you noticed? Aside from hurting the individual liberties of an individual, it's also potentially going to cost the Washington State revenue because you've got businesses that are potentially going to close. They have to, if it's enforced. You can't have armed security. You can't have armed transport. You can't have companies that make holsters that are specific for your weapon type, custom holsters. We have manufacturing companies here in Washington State that if you have a firearm that you want to have a holster made for, you can't hand them your firearm now to have it made without doing a background check and a transfer. And oh yeah, then you've got to get a background check and a transfer to give it back to me. Does that make sense? No! Absolutely not. What we have right now is millions of dollars coming in from outside of Washington State, and unfortunately some came from inside the state too, to tell people that this was about background checks. If it was simply a background check bill, I don't think you would have this type of opposition. This is much, much more than that, and we're going to fight it here in Olympia. And there's a few of us that are here today, including Representative Elizabeth Scott. Thank you. I'm sure we'll probably see Representative Matt Shea, Representative David Taylor, Representative Jesse Young. There are many of us here right now to make sure that your message is carried forward. This will not stand. And I hope that you join us in the war peacefully, because we don't want to be divisive. We don't want people to start thinking that this is about guns and that this is about taking away anything other than our rights. We need to no longer divide people. We need to educate people. We need to educate them on exactly what this is, because we had people that were voting that probably have never visited a gun show. Probably never knew that most gun shows you have to be a member, and in order to be a member you have to have had a background check. Imagine that. And there's one of my neighbors right there. Good to see you. Imagine that. Imagine that. So we need to educate them. And I ask that you join us in this so that we can win the next battle and we continue to educate our neighbors that may not have these firearms, that this is much more than just background checks. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you for taking part in this. And thank you for the organizers for putting it together. Yeah. Have a great day. Thank
you. Thank you, sir. Awesome. Okay, folks, we are going to take just probably a 10-minute break or so. Don't go anywhere, but if you want to go grab a cup of coffee or just mingle for a few minutes, we're going to make sure the speaker slate is arranged and keep everything moving here. We're going to throw a little